Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our very first masterclass for 2023. And I have the honor of introducing our guest expert for today, Miss Gail Meriel. Gail is a project manager, award-winning motivational speaker, author, and coach. She holds an MBA degree, professional project management certification, and has over 25 years of corporate experience. She has also been recognized as one of the inspiring women in technology 2021 by the Association of Telecom, Mobility, and IT Management Professionals. Gail lives in the Chicago area with her husband and golden retriever. Her greatest accomplishment is her 20-year-old son, a college junior who is a pilot and plays Division II baseball. Gail helps inspire and empower women who lost confidence or feel unworthy from self-doubt or failure, learn how to regain them self-esteem through self-discovery, overcome imposter syndrome so they can realize their value, take controllable action, and redefine success. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome and welcome, Gail.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for being our very, very first speaker.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I'm so excited to be here today, and I appreciate the forum to bring my message. So thank you, everyone, for joining. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll start the presentation. And I'll go put myself in presentation mode. All right. So good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, depending on your time zone. So as Kelly mentioned, I am Gail Meriel. I am here to talk through overcoming imposter syndrome through self-discovery. Would love to share my story first before we continue. There are a lot of challenges that I faced in both my career and my personal life, and it caused me to experience imposter syndrome. At the time, I didn't know what it was, and I didn't really recognize what it was, so I couldn't take action on it. The first story that I have is from a career perspective. There are a lot of challenges that I had in my career, both from an external standpoint and an internal standpoint on my mindset, how my mindset was. There was restructuring in my area, and I was put into a role that I was not comfortable with. It was a matter of keeping my job or learning the role. And the expectations became different than I was adjusted to. And it was such a challenge for me to be able to meet leadership's expectations and be able to rise through that role. I also experienced challenges in being promoted. Being promoted is a great thing. And I have received promotions and earned promotions throughout my career. And once I got that promotion, I was like, great, this is awesome. I've got a title. That's great. But when it came down to the real work, could I really do it? I wasn't sure of myself. And at the time that I was up for the promotion, I was really ready. I knew I was ready, tactically ready, just from the experience and the knowledge that I've gained working through through my projects at the company. But when I actually got to that role, I ended up having imposter syndrome because I wasn't sure how I was able to meet expectations. From a personal perspective, I have, as Kelly mentioned, I have a 20-year-old son. When he was young, I only have an only child, and when he was young, we experienced almost a loss of him. He had been diagnosed with fatal food allergies, and at the time when he was a little bit before 1 year old, I was weaning off breastfeeding, and we gave him some regular milk. didn't realize that he was very allergic to it, and he started getting into anaphylactic shock. We rushed him to the ER, and while I was trying to ensure that he stayed alive, I had that self-doubt in me. Can I be a mom? I couldn't even try to keep this kid alive. It was so hard for me, and I was blaming myself because that we gave him that milk. Was there some research that I could have done? Was there something that I ate or drank or did wrong during my pregnancy? It was tough. So it was a very challenging time for me to really accept and really embrace the vision of motherhood that I thought I would experience. After a while, all these experiences of imposter syndrome really weighed down on me and helped me try to understand why I'm feeling this way, how I need to get out of this, because there were times that I felt I really needed to get out of it. I knew I was in a bad position emotionally and mentally, and I knew I needed to get out of it somehow to be successful. I knew I couldn't wallow in my self-doubt because I had a child to raise. I knew I couldn't wallow in my self-doubt in my career because I had a career to have and a job to keep. And if I wanted to meet my career goals, I needed to approach it in a different way. So as we go through today's sessions, I'm hoping there are pieces and stories that resonate with you. The value that you'll get today, first, we'll compare the traditional thinking of what success is versus your why. We will talk through successes and failure factors. We'll really get down to the definition and the types of imposter syndrome. And we'll talk through high-level strategies for success. Would like to give you some food for thought. What are some of the traditional thoughts and beliefs of success that you feel? For example, I always was taught growing up, go to college, you graduate from college, get good grades, get a great paying job, you work hard, and you'll be successful. That's how our parents, our grandparents, and our great grandparents have done. And a lot of times they have stayed in their career and retired from the same company after 25, 30, 35 years. But life is not like that now, right? How has your life experience challenged that? As I mentioned earlier, there's so many challenges that I had throughout life that made me challenge what I thought success was and the traditional sense of success. If I didn't meet that, then I was a failure. And now we have to really understand what our why is and how we change, how our why has changed our beliefs in success. So I'd like you to think about that as we go through this class and really understand in your sense what you feel, because we need to understand our background and our limiting beliefs in order for us to move forward. Some of the success and failure factors that we had: learning and management style, especially in the career. Uh, there are actual times that we have great managers, great leadership. We're all in sync with them, so our careers go really well. You like going to your job. You like working on projects or the deadlines that you have, and the way you learn to succeed and go to the next level or even expand your skill sets always depend on your learning style and how you absorb things and how you are receptive to them. Mental and emotional capacity. How much can you take in at once? As I mentioned before, in my experience, there are a lot of emotions and mental challenges that come with trauma, whether it's personal or in your career. And whether you and how you react to them is really the determination if you will be able to overcome them as successes, or if you will stay in that vicious cycle. Learning in team environment. The way you learn and the way you are receptive to absorbing material and understanding and getting that aha moment is critical. I'm interchanging between career and personal life because we all can experience imposter syndrome in any aspect of life, both in career and personal. So that's why I'm interchanging them. A lot of times folks may resonate with me through their career challenges. Others may resonate with me from a personal perspective. And as I mentioned, life experiences and trauma, what you have been taught early in life or what you have experienced early in life and also in your career. Early in my career, I was given bad advice from a manager, and that had stuck with me throughout my career. And it limited my beliefs and kind of gave me the challenge and the limiting belief of, okay, I can't do this because my superior said so. So that type of imposter syndrome really weighed down on me because of external validation that you couldn't have. Sometimes we do want external validation to say, hey, you're doing a great job. You're wonderful, you're great. And sometimes we use that as a sense of self-confidence and self-worth. And what I'm here to tell you is it has to come from within. You can't have external validation and try to get that all the time, because if you don't get it, then you feel like a failure. And sometimes that's not healthy either. So the last thing is imposter syndrome. That could cause a success or failure in some ways in how you actually overcome them and how you react to those situations. So what is imposter syndrome? According to the Harvard Business Review, imposter syndrome can be defined as a collection of feelings of inadequacy that persist despite evident success. So you may have excelled in your career, excelled in life, and one challenge comes about and you feel like a failure. Or each area of success drives you to the next level, that it's not enough for you. And I will go ahead and talk through some of the types of imposter syndrome. Number one is the expert. No matter how much you learn, it doesn't seem to be enough for you to feel successful. You associate titles to make you feel valued. And early in my career, I actually I experienced that because I felt that if I don't have that manager role in my title, that I wasn't worth it. As I went through my career and tried to get the skill sets and visibility that I needed to be able to be promoted, and when I did get that promotion, I was like, great, I love it, but I need to go more. And then also financial aspects were tied to that. So you're always thinking that you need to go to the next level in order to be successful. High achiever. You push yourself harder and harder to the point of burnout. You don't feel successful until you check all the boxes and you're not able to pivot when challenges hit. I've experienced this too at some point in my life. And the more you work through and the more you try to be successful, the more you burn out. And then instead of being successful, your mental and emotional state comes crashing down, and you're not able to get back up because you're so focused on that high achievement. Soloist. You feel inadequate if you have to ask for help. A lot of this is also coming from childhood. A lot of areas that we as children are taught is you have to be independent. You have to learn how to be independent. Otherwise, you're not going to be successful. So there are aspects to that. I mean, obviously, as we grow older, we do become independent. We're able to make our own decisions. We're able to know what's right from wrong for ourselves. But sometimes we're on the other end of the spectrum where we feel that if we have to ask for help, that we end up being failures. As a mom, as a new mom before, if I asked for help in caring for my child, that means I'm not a good mother. That was kind of ingrained in my mind. If you go into a new role at work and you ask for help, then that means that you're not able to meet the expectations of your leadership. And as I mentioned, sometimes it's through a social aspect or a society aspect where we are measured by how successful we are in terms of performance. And if we are asking for help all the time, then that means we're not independent, we're not meeting up to the expectations, we're not a good fit, and we end up feeling inadequate, and that imposter syndrome hits. The perfectionist. You really set high goals for yourself and you compare yourself to others. You push yourself toward perfection, and if it doesn't go according to your plan, you perceive it as a failure. Early on in my career, there were a lot of areas that I was a perfectionist. And I know in some areas of interviewing for a job, I know some people actually tell that to recruiters and hiring managers as a weakness. It is actually a weakness because life isn't perfect, and it's how you are able to rise to the occasion despite those challenges when things don't go your way, and how to pivot in order to get to that next goal is really what counts. But a lot of us feel that we need to be perfect, we need to have things right all the time, otherwise we're going to be failures. And the last one is the gifted one. Things often go easily for you, so when you face challenges, you feel like a failure if you don't achieve those goals right away. There are a lot of people that I know that they're subject matter experts just naturally. I know people from high school or even college that they love standardized tests. So they get perfect scores on standardized tests where I have to study my butt off. And those type of people, life comes easy for them, but as we all know, it's not perfect. And when challenges do come about, those gifted people sometimes don't understand or don't have the soft skills to be able to pivot in order to overcome that. So these are the types of these are the 5 types of imposter syndrome. We have experienced these at one point or another, or will experience these at one point or another. It's really inevitable. Up to 82% of us experience imposter syndrome at some point in our life, according to the American Psychology Association, and up to 65% of us as professionals. And in terms of categories, we all could fall into any of these categories or even all of these categories at some point, and that's okay. I think one of the things that we need to do is really recognize it so we can move forward and be able to utilize that recognition to be able to move forward and address it in the most appropriate way. Okay. Oops. Okay. So strategies for success. Hang on a second. Let me see. Okay. So actually want to go through the self-discovery journal at this point. I don't know if you were able to download it from my site. If you have not, it's gailmeriel.com. But wanted to go ahead and do a quick review of what the self-discovery journal is and kind of utilize what we have reviewed so far in order to kind of get that on paper. So I'll go ahead and grab that for us really quickly. Share my screen again. Okay, and if you have already done this, that's great. I won't go into it in more detail. It's just a little bit more explanation as you go through it for yourself. So what I'd like to do is have each of us, I mean, not at this time, but it's just more think about it, of things that you're really proud of at this point. What have you achieved throughout your journey, whether it's personal or career-wise? That's something that you really have to celebrate. And in spite of challenges that you're facing now, it's really actually critical that you celebrate all the accomplishments that you've had. I didn't do that enough in my life, and I've learned to put that aside. From a cultural perspective, I was always taught, be humble. Let people tell you how great you are. And sometimes that's toxic because, as I mentioned before, if you're always asking or searching for external validation, that's the only thing that you're going to be doing is searching. But it has to come from within. That's why I want everyone to really look at what they accomplish and celebrate them, because everybody has had accomplishments that we can all be proud of. And you have to celebrate those occasions because that is one way to lift yourself up in times of need. The second part is to document what your current goals are. Sometimes we have them up here in our minds, and sometimes they're documented in our professional development plan at work. But from a personal perspective, we don't take the time to really document those goals from a personal perspective. Again, you may talk it through with family and friends, but writing it down really gives it some visibility and concrete evidence that those are your goals. And it actually helps you document that, so you'll take accountability for it to say, okay, these are my goals. These are really my goals. They're not something that I grabbed from the air. This is really what I wanted to do. And then, as we mentioned before, what did success mean to me when I first pursued these goals? Sometimes we have a vision of how we want to get there from point A to point B. As I mentioned earlier, our traditional thinking, work hard, you'll get your goal, you'll meet your goals. But as we know, we all have ups and downs, and we want to at least document what it meant to us when we first decided to pursue these, because your vision may have changed, and we want to see that vision and have you get that up to that 50-foot level, 50,000-foot level of how you saw yourself before and how you see yourself now. And as I mentioned before, you want to think about the current situation that you feel right now, because if you're joining this masterclass, I know that you are experiencing some type of challenge and resonated with my message of imposter syndrome. So there is a current situation that you may be feeling right now that's preventing you from meeting those goals. I'd love for you to look at these statements and try to understand for yourself what bullet point you actually resonated with, and be able to understand those things, because those statements are tied to one of the types of imposter syndrome that we reviewed earlier. And if you join with me as a client, we will go deeper into that and be able to think of real tactical strategies to overcome that. Okay. So with that is really the self-discovery journal that I offer potential clients, because it really helps understand and give you the perspective. A lot of times emotional and mental challenges come with trying to figure out next steps. And really documenting them, really talking through them will really help in understanding where you are, what your current challenges are, and where you want to be. Okay. As we talk through these, I'm sure there are a lot of people that have seen this Kubler-Ross model. This is from I believe it was a Swiss therapist, Elizabeth Kubler, that put this diagram together to understand stages of grief. And this is also put into self-development and training material, because it's not just stages of grief, but stages of change. So whatever change you're going through in life, whether it's career or personal, these are the typical stages that everybody goes through. You go through shock sometimes. You're surprised about the situation. Then you go through denial, disbelief. You're trying to look for evidence to tell yourself, oh, this isn't true, this isn't happening to me. Then you get frustrated. You recognize that things are different now, and you get angry because you're in that situation. And sometimes you blame other people, or you blame the situation, or you blame yourself to say, I caused the situation. Then you get into a depression mode where you're lacking in motivation, you're lacking in energy, you're moody, and you feel that you're stuck because you're in that situation, whether it was your fault or not, but regardless, you're there, and that feeling really sucks. Then you get into, and after a while, some people stay there for a while, but then some people end up telling themselves, you know what, I'm done with being depressed. I'm done with being mad. I'm done with being in denial. And they start being able to experiment and get that initial engagement with the new situation. They're starting to accept the situation they're in, and up to a point where they want to take action. So instead of being depressed and saying, okay, I'm worthless, I can't do anything anymore, nobody will hire me, or whatever the case may be, the experimental part is the first part of being able to get to where you want to be from a positive standpoint. Decision. You make the decision of what you want to do next. You learn about how to work in the new situation. You're feeling more positive, and you're feeling more optimistic that, I think I could do this. I think, with the right support, with the right resources, we can do this. I can do this. And then the last part is integration. The changes, you're embracing it, you're working toward your goals with a new approach, with a renewed approach, and you're actually a renewed individual. So there are areas within this spectrum that you as attendees may experience, and it's okay to be in a certain spectrum. Now, the question is, when are you going to be ready to go to the next step? Are you ready to go to the next step? And I can't tell you that, because it's your internal vision and your inner soul to really understand that. You have to do some soul searching on your own to be able to understand and say, okay, I'm going to the next level. I want to be at the next level. How do I get there? So what are the strategies for success in order to get to the next step? Number one, you have to take care of yourself. I learned that the hard way. And this is the number one thing that I'm telling my potential and true clients. We have to take care of ourselves. Our health is the most important thing. Nothing is more important than your health. There are times in my career that I had worked myself because I wanted that title. I wanted that promotion. So I took on a lot of extra projects. I took on a lot of workload that I probably shouldn't have. And I ended up in the emergency room. It is utmost important that you do practice self-care. through emotional and physical aspects of it, whether it's exercising or doing things that you like or passionate about. That's also considered self-care. Number two is connect with other people, not just to tell people your problems or vent or try to get solutions, but also connecting with others helps us really get a different perspective, that it's not, that we're not alone, that it's a common thing, that it's normal for us to feel this way. And even if you're not talking about it with other people, just being around people really gives yourself a vision of self-worth, that you are wanted in a community. And lastly, redefine your success and determine and execute a plan B. This is where in that spectrum, where are you at in that spectrum, and how do you want to redefine that success? You may have the same goals, but how do you want to change that approach if that particular approach that you're taking right now is not working? And we can determine an executable plan B, that you'll take accountability for it. You'll set it and you'll take accountability and say, okay, I'm going to do this. Unfortunately, there are things that we cannot control. So you'd have to separate what you can control, the external factors that you can't control. You have to accept those and really focus on the areas that you can control. Because a lot of times I tried that and it didn't work. I tried to control not being laid off, or not having any issues medical wise with my son. And it's not something that I could control, because that's just the way it is. And I had to accept that and embrace it and be able to move on and say, okay, what can I do to make myself feel better, to be able to move on to the next step and be successful? Okay. So with that, would love to entertain any questions or comments. I hope that you did get the value that I presented today. Was hoping that we can, if you are at that point where you want to go to the next step, it's okay to ask for help. As I mentioned before, it took me a while to get help, and I enlisted a lot of mentors to help me. I'm here to help you move on to the next step. So I really hope that you're ready, and I am here to answer any questions.
Well, I
Thank you
did
so
want to say
much, Gail.
oh, I'm
Hi,
sorry.
Kathy.
Hi.
Thanks
Um,
for joining us live. Yeah, please, uh, yeah, and ask your question for Gail.
I've got to say, like, I wanted to make a couple comments. One, this was so useful for me. I feel, Gail, like you created this talk for me, like personally. I mean, when you were going
Really?
through the imposter syndrome
Mhm.
classifications, I was like, I think that's me sometimes, and that's me
Yeah.
sometimes. And
Right?
so
Yeah.
it was very helpful.
Great.
I also really liked that you gave examples of what you went through that made it personal and made me kind of think like, okay, yeah, I get that, and how have I done that? And so in general, I thought the talk was great. It really resonated with me. I would be interested in talking to you probably more about your
Okay.
mentoring or coaching.
Great.
um,
Great.
I think we taught, I mean, I think that's another time. Is that
Yeah.
correct? Probably, yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll send you the link to my scheduler so we can have a discovery call to get in more depth of what you want as a goal for
Okay.
mentorship. Yeah.
Okay.
Yay.
Yeah,
I'm
this was
so glad that you two connected. You know
thank
what?
you.
Oh, yes, Gail, why don't you mention
Mhm.
how can people get in touch with you if they want to
Yes.
work with you? But before that, I want to echo what Kathy said. I feel like this is for me as well. And I know it's for a lot of women. I know my friends, family. I mean,
Yeah.
82% is a huge number.
It
8
is.
out of 10. women feel the imposter syndrome, not being enough or not being adequate, like your definition said, despite the successes that we have. It's like when I shared earlier in our conversation, we feel we're only good as our last show, which shouldn't be the
Mhm.
case, right? Because
Right.
our being should be the whole, a complete self, not just a fraction and not just a moment or an event in our life. So, and
Exactly.
that's where the self discovery and assessment can come in. And I want to ask a question
Sure.
after you share this
Okay.
slide.
Sure, sure. Okay, yeah. So everybody can reach me at gailmeriel.com. I am on LinkedIn and I'm also on Facebook. I do occasionally speak on Clubhouse groups and rooms, so you can find me there as well. I do. From a services standpoint, I do mindset coaching. I do private and group coaching. I am also a public speaking and communication coach. The self-discovery journal that we went through is on my website as a free gift for engaging with me. And the discovery session is also complimentary as well. I do also want to plug my books. I do have a
Yeah.
collaboration book that is already out, Inspiring Women Professionals Who Boss Up. I partner with 15 other women who share their stories of challenges and success, and not just mine, but it is a great book to actually have to get more inspiration. So that's available on Amazon Digital right now. I do expect the paperback books to come within the next few weeks. I do have a book that is launching this coming Tuesday called Dream Big, Do Bigger. I collaborate with another group of amazing women, and this is more from a personal account of how limiting beliefs prevented me from pursuing my childhood dreams and how I'm doing that now. So this will also actually be at retail stores in the near future. So please connect with me somehow for those who are listening to this recording, and we will do what we can to help you out. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
You
you.
are doing an amazing job. You're such an inspiration. And of course, they can find you on social media
Yeah.
at Redefined Success, correct?
Mm-hmm. Success redefined. Success
Right.
redefined.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
And Gail Meriel, right? Just to
GailMeriel.com. Yep,
awesome.
absolutely.
Well, we're almost at the very end of our class, and I just want to ask how you want to go back to when you said you didn't do this alone.
Mhm.
Can you share with us that tipping moment on when you realize, aha, I need help, and how did you find help, and how did you get help, and what did that look like?
From a professional standpoint, there was a point in my career where I felt so low because of restructuring, and that was one of the external factors that we couldn't control.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at a low point because I wasn't able to get support. I enlisted a mentor that actually left the company, and they were in a leadership position, and they actually helped me through that. I also enlisted other mentors like a coach to really help me understand from a personal perspective. So I had two coaches. One was more from a career coaching, mentoring perspective, how to get to the next level, how to get visibility, what I need to do to get to the next level. But then I also had a emotional and life coach, so to speak, to help me through like, why am I chasing the titles? And what is really my ultimate goal? And that's where the pivotal moment came for me, because it's like
Mm.
I wasn't really trying to get up there because of, I thought I wanted to be a leader, and I thought I would be a leader if I had that title. But
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be in a leadership position. I wanted to make a positive impact. I wanted to lead people the way I like to be led. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
pivotal moment for me, that I don't have to have a huge title in order for
Mm.
me to be successful, in order for me to make a positive impact. And that's really where I got to be. And as I talk through that, that was also a time in my life where I became an empty nester. And so after
Mm.
18 years of raising an only child,
Mm.
it was hard for me to really pivot as to the next steps in my life. You know, I've been married to my husband for almost 25 years. So for us, it was like, okay, what are the next steps? So between my personal goals and my professional goals, I had coaches that really helped me understand who I was. And after going through those waves of challenges
Mhm.
and being able to bounce back, I actually found a pattern to say, okay, well,
Mm.
this is what I did to get out of it. And well, next time I went through that, through a different challenge, I used that approach again. And that's how it ended up, I was able to prove that that theory and that approach worked for me. So that's why I wanted to share that with others who are experiencing that and who are in that stuck stage, to say,
Mm.
okay, there is a pattern that I went through that I'm able to get out of because of my experience.
Wow, that's so powerful. It just shows, no man is an island, right? We have to help each other and we have to look after each other. We're
Yes,
social beings after all. We're here to,
exactly,
you know,
exactly.
so we
And
need to
I
help each other.
right, exactly. And that's where I'm coming from, Kelly. It's, I think, also being in a community of
Mm-hmm.
like-minded women, you know, just getting a support. I've been in environments where women are in competition with each other, and
Mm,
that
yep.
was not a good environment for me, you know,
Mm-mm.
whether it's professional or personal, right? You know, like I've had friends that ended up I detached from because they became more competitive rather than really embracing our friendship and being able to
Oh,
support each other.
I'm
So
sure a
I
lot of people can relate to that as well.
yes, so trying to find that, you know, and I call it a tribe, you know, finding that
Right.
tribe
Mm,
of women and that sorority of women to
yes.
really help you get through these situations is really great.
I love it. I love that you said that because it's what we're building here at Happy Me Yoga. So,
Yeah, great, great. Yes, and I do want to thank Kelly for allowing me to take her forum here and our partnership with Happy Me Yoga. She is a great yoga instructor. She can definitely help you through that mental and physical state. So, you know, definitely reach out to her. And she does have classes, she does have retreats. So go out to her website as well.
oh, thank you so much for the plug and the love.
Yeah, sure.
Kathy, do you have any last question or comment before we end the class today?
No, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to you both. This was great and really, really helpful for me. I'm so glad that I feel uplifted. This is
Great,
Oh,
great. That's my
thank you.
goal.
yay, yay, one
Yeah.
person at a time. That's our
Yeah,
goal. If
exactly.
this is our mission. I mean, Gail and I, and all of us in this community have the same mission, and we want to help each and everyone to, be their best version of themselves and feel better, and overcome imposter syndrome and redefine success. So,
Right.
with that, just
Yeah.
um, reach out to us, and we'll be here to help you. So keep in touch. And with that, I would like
I
to
do
say
have one
thank you.
more thing. I do
Yes,
have one more
one
thing.
more, yes.
It's actually three words, okay?
Okay.
And I love ending sessions with clients with this because it does give them a little bit of boost. And I hope
Mhm.
that this helps everybody. I want you to say to yourself, I am enough. So just keep saying that
Yes.
to yourself when you do have challenges. Always say, I am enough. Because you know what? We are enough. And we have to believe that in order for us to move on. So those are my
All right.
parting words.
No, it's beautiful. Thank you. Let's say that again one more time in yourself and just breathe in. I am enough. And breathe out. Thank you
You
so
got it.
much,
Thank
everyone. You
you.
have a great rest
Namaste.
of your day. I'll
Thank
see
you.
you soon.
All right.
Take care
Take
now.
care, everyone.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Thanks.